I got this 3-pound rock tumbler for my birthday, and I'm going to show you how to walk through it.
And we're going to go through the whole process of showing you beginning to end, from our rock selection down to the grit. And so you can see there's the tumbler, we've got our water, and then our grit. You can see the different coarse, medium, fine, and polish. The little packets are the kind that come in a little box of rocks that you can get at places like Hobby Lobby or Michael's. But we also picked up some more bulk containers off of Amazon with the coarse grit, the 60, the 220 grit, the 500 grit, and then the 1200 grit polish. And we're going to go through and spend 1 week on each of those grits as we go through the rocks. And we'll share that whole process. And you can see my son laid out all of the rocks he wanted to do. It's a wide selection from pieces of quartz, some rose quartz. There's even a couple of garnets in here that might come out really, really pretty. It's going to be a little bit of a mystery as to what type of rock is going to produce what for us, this being the first time we've done it. We even have a geode in there, or a piece of one. We'll see what happens with that.
We're going to fill it up so it's about 3/4 of the way full, and we got about 1 or 2 inch rocks down to tiny rocks. As you can see, it's a bit over 3/4, so you can just do it a little shake. We want to fill it so it's just covering the rocks.
So for the first week, we're adding about 3 tablespoons, being a 3-pound rock tumbler, of this coarse grit. All right, to seal this thing up, we've got like a rubber gasket lid that sort of fits right inside. You got to make sure that that's even all the way across and nice and clean. If you have any grit or anything, water's going to leak out of that. So you want to make sure you get a good solid seal. We then drop the lid on over, make sure it's nice and square, the washer, and then we'll just snug that thing up. Now, looks like we're all sealed up, ready to tumble.
So we've got this all sealed up, we've got everything ready, and we're just gonna let it tumble for about a week.
Has it been a week yet?
No.
How about now?
No.
This takes forever.
It's been just over a week, and we're gonna open them up and see how they look so far.
Dad help time.
You're gonna want to do it outside, or else it's gonna clog up your sink like so. You're gonna want to make sure all of that grit's off before you move to the next stage. Oh, look at that one. They're looking so cool. Look at that one.
You can see we're getting some good color. There's that geode. A lot of edges knocked down real nice. This is after, I believe it was 8 days in the first grit, and that 60 grit before we move to the next one.
This one's turning out really well so far. You can see that geode's turning out really well. You can see through it in the light. Let's load these things up for another week.
All right, week 2, we're adding step 2, medium 220 grit. We're putting 3 tablespoons in here again. And that's 2, and 1 more.
Now for the water, you want it just above the rocks. Alright, we'll let this run for another week. About 10 days with grit 2, and we're going to turn it off and see how they look.
This is about 10 days after grit number 2. Things are quite rounded. About to move into grit number 3 here and kind of begin more of that polishing stage.
Step 3, 500 grit. We're going to do about 3 scoops. Fill it up with water just above the rocks.
Scoop.
And these want to make sure all of it's level. Screw that on there. And give it a bit of a shake.
Now just shake that again for another week.
Or not.
All right, I'll be back in a week. Keep shaking.
We're gonna turn it on for another week. Been a week in stage 3, 500 grit, and we're gonna dump it out and see how they look.
All right, so this is after stage 3, the 500 grit. Things are starting to get really polished and get shiny. Nice and round. You can see some of these pieces have ended up getting some really nice color. There's that geode that Liam was excited about.
The 1200 grit, about 3 scoops. It's like powdered sugar.
That's good.
And fill it up about a tiny bit above the rocks. Back on. Make sure it's nice and even all the way around. polished, and we'll show you what we get. We've been going for a bit over 10 or 11 or 12 days. We kind of lost track, and we're gonna dump them out and see how they do. It's been about 2 weeks in the polish,